Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I'll be going over more severe weather that will occur today all the way through Saturday, April 22nd here. And then we'll look at the late April cold blast to bring widespread frost and freeze concerns, especially across the northern United States. And then an active end to April with widespread heavy rain and flooding concerns. We'll get to those details later on in today's video. But if you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, now is the time to press the subscribe button. I cover all of North America, including Southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel. So definitely hit the subscribe button. And it's also very important to hit the like button down below as well, the thumbs up button. It definitely helps to get all of this weather information out to as many people as possible. So I definitely appreciate it. But going back to yesterday, it was a busy day here. We actually had several supercell thunderstorms down into the Oklahoma City metro area that dropped some tornadoes, even some rotating storms into eastern Kansas, western portions of Iowa. We had 15 total tornado reports, and that number may grow as we go through the day today with the damage surveys. But also from these storms was the very large hail. We had 140 hail reports. 29 of those were significant, over 2 inches in diameter. We even had 17 wind reports, and 2 of those being hurricane force, for a total of 172 severe weather reports from yesterday. But as we go through today, much of the same. We got another threat of severe weather across the Mississippi Valley and the southern plains, with the highest chances of severe storms from the St. Louis area down into portions of Arkansas, including the Little Rock, Jonesboro, Arkansas area, Texarkana, and then getting down into much of central and eastern Texas here, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Tyler, Texas, and then moving its way into western Louisiana with that slight risk into the Shreveport area. But we also do see a threat of severe weather farther north, so we're talking about you up here into Illinois, including Chicago, including Peoria, Illinois, and then farther north all the way up into central Wisconsin here, including La Crosse, Madison, and the Milwaukee regions going through the day today. Looking at the hazards, mainly looking at some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts from the storms today. We may have an isolated 70-mile-per-hour wind gust down here across the Arklatex region, but the bigger threat by far will be the large hail, especially into central Texas here, where it could be seeing hailstones back over golf ball size yet again as we get into this afternoon and this evening. This does encompass the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex and southward here towards San Antonio, so definitely watching that going through the Thursday afternoon and evening time frame. And we have 2 separate areas we're watching for tornado potential. And again, it's marginal tornado threat here, just 2%, but this does cover southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, much of Illinois here, and then getting into eastern portions of Missouri. And then the southernmost areas will encompass western parts of Arkansas, extreme southeastern Oklahoma, much of Texas, and getting into northwestern Louisiana. So looking at the setup today, we do have that cold front progressing farther to the east, but we also have the warm front all the way up into the northern Great Lakes. So that's going to pull in a lot of moisture. Dew points will be in the 50s and 60s all the way up into Wisconsin, even into Michigan and parts of northern Illinois today, with the deeper moisture with the 70-degree dew points a little bit farther down to the south, closer to those slight risk areas. And that will contribute to stronger instability across Texas, getting into Arkansas there. Those instability values will be up and over 2,000 joules per kilogram. But if we have sun breaks farther north, I do see the potential for a slight risk upgrade later on today if we start to be seeing more instability realized across Illinois into southern Wisconsin. But that will be a call for the Storm Prediction Center to make later on today. So looking at the noon time frame, it does look like, again, just spotty showers and storms. We're going to look at the northern mode first. But as we get through the 3 o'clock time frame, we're going to see redevelopment right along that cold front, and these will be supercell thunderstorms. And again, you see, not everybody will see these, but if you get under one of these storms, they could pose the risk for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, some large hail, and perhaps a brief isolated tornado or two. Getting through the 6 o'clock time frame, these storms will be crossing into Milwaukee, Chicago, and then down through the St. Louis area. So definitely be mindful of that through the evening rush. And then after this evening, getting through the midnight time frames, turning into Friday morning, we'll start to weaken these storms down. And again, mainly looking at rain showers with a few rumbles of thunder as we go through that time frame. Looking at the southern mode here, again, noon time frame, just some spotty showers for the most part. A thunderstorm or two is possible, but it's really by mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock. We're going to start to see more of the storms firing up here across Missouri, getting into northwestern Arkansas toward the Fort Smith, Fayetteville region, getting down through southeastern Oklahoma and around the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That will continue to build up through the evening commute here at 6 o'clock this evening, again across Little Rock, getting into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, Tyler, Texas here, and then that will push closer to Beaumont, Texas, and Houston as we go through the overnight hours toward the midnight time frame as these storms organize more, probably producing more damaging winds than anything else as they move through those areas. And then as we go into Friday, we got another marginal risk for severe storms, this time for coastal Texas from Corpus Christi up there through Victoria, even Houston, Texas, and getting into Louisiana, including New Orleans, Lake Charles, and then on up in there into the Jackson, Mississippi area as well on Friday. And you can see ongoing, we got those storms moving through the Houston area, getting through portions of Lake Charles up there into Baton Rouge. By the time we get into 6 a.m. on Friday, more rain showers, a few embedded storms farther north into Memphis. That will continue to progress its way off to the east by noon time frame. Again, midday on Friday, kind of a lull in the action. A couple severe storms possibly up here into southern Arkansas. But then it's also possible we have a little bit more of redevelopment of some storms along that cold front as it finally crosses into Louisiana, coastal Texas, and central Mississippi by Friday evening. And it really depends on the degree of instability. How much can be realized will depend on how strong this second round of storms will be by Friday evening. And then as we go into Saturday, that cold front will continue to progress farther off to the east, including the mid-Atlantic, much of the southeast, including Florida here. And there is a threat for severe weather on Saturday. We actually have a slight risk of severe weather. That's a 2 out of 5 on the scale. This is across the eastern Carolinas here from the Raleigh area down through portions there of the Myrtle Beach, Charleston, South Carolina area, and then into Savannah, Georgia with that slight risk on Saturday. The marginal risk is largely across most of the state of Florida into southeastern parts there of Georgia and then on up into eastern portions of Virginia as well. And again, the instability reservoir will be there because dew points will be in the low to mid 60s on Saturday ahead of that cold front. And again, we will have moderate instability values with the strongest of the values down here into Florida around 2,000, 2,500 joules per kilogram by Saturday afternoon. So timing this out, Saturday morning, we got a broken line of showers and storms progressing through the mid-Atlantic here from West Virginia down through the Tennessee Valley and through the Atlanta metro area. By the time we get towards early afternoon, getting closer to peak daytime heating, we'll see a scattering of showers and storms, kind of a messy mode of severe weather. We'll have multi-cells, supercells, and maybe some line segments mixed in here as well. So some damaging winds, large hail will probably be the main mode of severe weather through Saturday afternoon, and then that will turn into a line of storms as it crosses off the coast of the Carolinas and portions of Virginia down through Florida through the late evening hours on Saturday evening. But in the wake of this system, we're going to see some pretty heavy rainfall be realized across the Mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley, with the heaviest of the totals by far down across the Arklatex here into central portions of Arkansas around the Little Rock area. We could be adding up an additional 1 to 3 inches worth of rain here down toward the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, maybe a couple areas picking up over 2 inches, and then down here towards the Houston area, over toward Lake Charles, New Orleans, could be picking up a couple of inches of rain through that Sunday time frame. And it does look like most of that rain will be falling through today into your Friday morning. That's where we have that marginal to slight risk for flash flooding, largely across the Mississippi Valley down through the Arklatex here today. And then that pushes farther to the east across the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and the Gulf Coast states as we get into your Saturday morning time frame. But behind the system, it's all northwest flow. So that jet stream is going to be coming in from the Canada and from the northwest to southeast, and that's going to be bringing in our cooler temperatures getting into the start of this weekend. You can see on Friday our temperature anomalies across southern Canada and much of the upper Midwest, northern plains will be about 15 to 20 degrees below normal. And then by the end of the weekend, much of the country, especially along and east of the Rockies, will be below normal getting through the end of this weekend. So that is in the wake of that cold front that does move through this weekend. And you do see, starting here on Friday tomorrow, these are your high temperatures. First, we're going to see the cooler air across the north. So we see highs in the 30s and 40s up here across Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Dakotas here, back into Montana. The warmer temperatures will hang around across the east as we go into Friday. But as we go into Friday night, widespread frost and freeze concerns across much of the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, getting into Iowa here, Nebraska, maybe even that freezing line getting all the way south into southern Kansas, southern Missouri here, including the St. Louis area by Friday night. And then going into Saturday with the cooler air moving farther south, we're only seeing highs in the low 60s down here into Oklahoma City, Tulsa, middle 50s in the St. Louis area, around 54, and only just touching 50 perhaps in the Chicagoland area. And that promises another cool night up here across the Midwest and the Great Lakes getting into Saturday night with frost and freeze conditions quite likely. And then even on Sunday, the cooler air continues to push farther to the south. We're only up to 70 degrees in the Atlanta area, 60 degrees there in Memphis, 61 in Nashville, and then even the Dallas-Fort Worth area only into the middle 60s on Sunday afternoon. So definitely some cooler air pushing farther to the south. But as we start next work week here on Monday, April 24th, we're going to see some changes. And these changes will be, we're going to have a ridge of high pressure building across the eastern Pacific. And why this is important is because what goes up must come down. So if you have a ridge across the eastern Pacific, that almost guarantees a lot of northwest flow and troughs across the United States going into next week. And you can see that ridge spikes all the way up into the Aleutian Islands, into Alaska, and western Canada by late next week on Thursday, April 27th. And again, what goes up must come down. And underneath that ridge across the mainland United States, that's where we'll start to see more active weather with a subtropical jet. So looking at our temperature outlook from next week, again, going through the 29th time frame through next Saturday, will be below normal with our temperatures, with those troughs and the active weather across the eastern two-thirds of the country. But with the ridge building across the eastern Pacific Ocean, we'll see warmer temperatures favored across the western United States, particularly for California, Nevada, Washington, and Oregon. And again, underneath that ridge, it's going to be very dry, so don't be expecting much rainfall out west, but it will be very active across the east, and in particular the southeast and the southern United States will be very active through the week next week, and it's all complements of a very active subtropical jet. So on Tuesday, April 25th, that jet stream is well down to the south here across portions of the Four Corners region through the southern plains and the southeast here, and that largely remains the same going through the end of next week on Friday, April 28th. So what this means is we're expecting some widespread heavy rain, and this could cause some flooding concerns, especially if a lot of this rain comes down in a short amount of time. We're talking about some decent rains for good news for the drought conditions across Kansas into Oklahoma and Texas, with multiple inches of rain through next week, and that extends farther east through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas, and even Florida there going through much of next week as well. Well, if you want to follow me on Twitter for additional weather forecast updates, hit the description down below and follow me on Twitter at hweather420. And again, I thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below, give it a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Thursday, everybody, a great rest of the week, and I will see you all in the next video.